So I will first do acknowledgement. I'd like to acknowledge that today we meet on the land of the Stony Creek Nation, the ancestors of which have been custodians of land, sea and sky country for tens of thousands of years. May the intimate bond of the first peoples of Lutruwita, their conservation, culture and oral histories continue to inspire and future generations of this community that we now call Tasmania. So, Peter Henderson, who's on our committee, is going to introduce today's speaker, Malcolm Cowan and Vicky. Indefatigable bicyclist, apparently, but we'll get the full story, I'm sure. Thank you. Please welcome them.
Good morning, everyone. I was reflecting before coming down here that most days recently, when one turns on the radio, it's just a cacophony of bad news. So one of the delights of this little meeting here at Optus is that we get a chance to see that there are some nice things happening in the world instead of the carnage that's otherwise surrounds us all the time. To that point, it's wonderful today to have Malcolm and Vicky to come along and talk to us about their work within the community, about making Launceston a better place, and as Vicky mentioned, their indefatigable bike riding. So I shan't talk for much, but they've had 17 years here engaging with the local community, encouraging people to get literally on their bikes. So please welcome Malcolm and Vicky.
Thanks very much, and my beautiful assistant,
oh God,
the Barrel Girl, from the days of Graham Kennedy. Thanks very much for inviting us along to share our the experience and our journey on with bikes. They sort of took over our lives for a while, and they still dominate it. And we'd like to sort of take you through where this started and what we've been doing and how we've been involving people and the fun and the way it's influenced our lives. So, do you want to just check the buttons? I don't usually like these.
What about that one?
Oh yeah.
Knowledge is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this all started really back in 2007 when Vicky and I were backpacking through Laos and Thailand. We'd caught a boat down the Mekong from the north of Thailand, and for a 2-day trip. And on that trip, there was this couple, Roger and Miriam, from Switzerland, and they were riding their bikes. And they'd actually been doing a trip around the world.
And they'd been in Launceston, and they arrived on Launceston Cup Day and couldn't find anywhere to stay. Anyway, they stayed with a fireman. They met at the pub.
Yeah. And so they had a wonderful connection with Launceston. So anyway, over the next couple of days, we sort of wandered down through Laos, and we caught up with this couple, kept bumping into them as we wandered through. And Vicky said to me, well, we could do that. And
he said, don't be so stupid, you can't ride a bike.
Well, it wasn't quite that.
It was.
Yeah. I said, you haven't ridden the bike for a long time. So, so we decided we'd get training. So we trained, and because I
actually drove the car down to Royal Park and rode around Heritage Forest.
As a start.
Yes.
Yeah. But I'd been doing triathlons and things, so I was sort of, pretty bike fit and bike keen. And but Vic needed to get going, so we did one of the Great Western Tiers challenges, and I think we did the 50k ride.
It was 35.
35, all right. And anyway, we figured that was enough. So we decided to go to Laos. So this is the year after we'd been backpacking. So we flew to Bangkok, and we bought a couple of Trek mountain bikes and caught the overnight train to Vientiane and just headed off down the Mekong. So we just had, what did we have, 6 weeks or something?
Yeah.
And we just had an air ticket in and out of Bangkok, and the rest, there was nothing settled in between. So we just decided we'd go down the...
And our son, who had been living in Edinburgh, arranged to meet us, and there he is, looking...
Right. So we had 3 wonderful weeks riding with him, and so we just wandered through southern Laos, up on the Bolivian plateau, got down to the Cambodian border, and turned around and sort of came back and went to an island, then back to Bangkok.
Yeah. Next year, I've done it.
Yep. And so next year...
No.
Next year we went to the Baltic states, and there was a reason we chose that.
It was my 60th birthday, and I was looking for somewhere flat in Europe. and I actually read that the ski fields were 300 metres high, so I thought that's the place for me.
Yeah. So we flew into Rostock. We caught a ferry up to Helsinki. We thought this is going to be nice. That'll be nice, cruising up through the Baltic. We got the meal package, everything.
And it was 2 days of fog.
And then we ended up in Helsinki. We didn't have much. We were still learning these days, so we didn't have much in the way of GPS or anything. We're trying to find bike maps around Helsinki and everything, and we were spending like half a day trying to find our accommodation, who was a warm showers guest, and we'll talk about warm showers host later. But anyway, we ended up finding them. So then we went across to Tallinn and cycled down through the Baltic states and flew out of Vilnius. So there was some. That was a exciting, interesting time.
How long did that take?
We extended that out to about another 6 weeks or something.
Yeah. And they still had all their own currencies and things. And we were,
So it's just before they moved into the EU. So the crosses. This place was particularly interesting in Lithuania, the Hill of Crosses. The story behind that was that I think it had been some sort of sacred site, and then Pope John II blessed it in 1993, because it was still under Russian occupation then, and so the Lithuanians started putting crosses there, and the Russians started taking them away. The more they took away, the more they put there. So it ended up with this hill with about 200,000 crosses there. And then there's another cross story that sort of came out of that, which you can...
What?
Is Thingo's wife.
down the mother.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Mother.
There was a woman who used to swim with Malcolm, and she said, see my mother in Tallinn. And so...
Yeah, she was Estonian. Yeah.
Estonian, yeah. Anyway, so we rang, and she arranged to meet us, and there's a woman at a crossing looking, and I put my arms out and said, Galiana? And she said, yes. And she said, you touched my daughter last, and gave me this big hug. Anyway, so we went for a lovely meal at the family home, and we caught up with the daughter 6 or 8 weeks later, and she said, my mother has left her husband. She said she looked at you two and thought, they're doing something with my life. I'm just sitting here with this old man.
So she left and went to Switzerland with her daughter, who had moved back there from here. So,
No, I don't think he wanted a fella.
He was a retired ship's captain, and so that was an interesting afternoon, because as the more people who came into the family, into the luncheons, they could speak more English, and we learned so much more about the political, because they were Russian, and we learned more about the political situation and the repercussions of these people who, some of them were, one of the daughters had been born in Russia, but in Estonia, but couldn't get a job because of the Russian heritage. Yeah. So anyway, that was so we sort of started our career in marriage wrecking. So we got inspired, and we'd had a trip down here with some friends who had stayed with us, this Warm Showers group, and we went around Bruny Island with them, and then they said they were going to do a bike and barge tour from Amsterdam to Paris, and that was about the most expensive holiday we'd ever thought about doing. So we agreed to do that. So the idea is that we booked out the whole barge for 3 weeks, a group of us, and you go down, you cycle in the day, and at night you meet the barge. So we decided we would make a bit more of a tour of it. So we flew into Vienna and cycled across from Vienna to Amsterdam, and then caught the barge down to Paris, and then cycled across France into Switzerland, caught up with our Swiss friends.
And none of these bikes were electric?
No.
This was on these bikes.
He was on that one.
These were on our real bikes. Yeah. Oh, shit.
So they're the Swiss couple that we met. Right.
Yeah. So that was some of the just on the way there. And Sue, were you in that group? You were in that.
No.
Next one.
The next one. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Then we did a little tour up in Queensland, just to keep our hand in, and then what was next? Then it was Flinders Island tour. Yeah, we took our bikes across to Flinders Island on the barge. That was an exciting thing. And we did a ride around the back of Mount Strzelecki on the tracks there. We spent about a week cycling around Flinders Island. That was a local adventure. That was sort of, and that's when we started involving more people with our groups, forming groups to do some of these tours.
Explain the Warm Shower group.
Yeah. Warm Showers is a group of it's a web-based system of reciprocal accommodation. So you just see if there's somebody in your local area or where you're passing through, and you can stay with them. You can provide whatever you need to, but usually it's a bed and a meal and a shower, a warm shower, preferably a hot shower, and then usually washing and whatever. And we've met some of the most wonderful people through that. We've stayed with about 10 people who've stayed with us.
So never come and stay with us, because we're likely to stay with you, especially if you live somewhere nice.
And then 2013 we did another trip from Manchester, crossed down through the area in Lincolnshire where Vicky's mother came from. Caught up with friends in England, because we'd been in England for 10 years in 1981, and down across. Then we formed a group with the guide who we'd used for the bike and barge tour. Our friend who has been cycling since he was 17, a wonderful Dutch guide, and he set up a tour for us, a land-based tour for 3 weeks, and there was 10 or 11 of us, did a big tour around through Holland and Germany, France, and then when we left them we caught a train, went down to Geneva, cycled down through France and into Spain, and caught up with 2 of the Warm Showers friends from Barcelona who'd stayed with us. And they actually came to Tasmania to ride the Jacob's Ladder they saw it on a photo. They were cycling around Australia, and they said, we've got to go to Tasmania, we've got to ride that hill.
Yep.
These are just some shots of England and riding through France.
Excuse me, where's that one down at the bottom there with the cutout? Do you know where that is?
That's in France,
that was in Spain, on the way across across the top of Spain. Yeah. So it's more sort of just the experience stuff than the detail. Yeah. And this is when we had our first. We called it the BOOH stands for Bat Out of Heaven, because we had been on some Bat Out of Hell bike rides, so we called it the Bat Out of Heaven ride. And we had this, and Sue's in that photo down there on the bridge. So that was a wonderful experience as well. The next one was Myanmar. We started thinking about going to Asia a bit more. So we decided we wanted to go here before it started, getting messy. Before it started really opening up.
Before the tourists found it.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Yeah. So we flew in. You only get a permit for a month, a visa for a month. So we flew into Mandalay, put the bikes together in Mandalay, and then we caught a train up to Indefatigable Lake, or up that direction, cycled around there, wandered round across Mandalay, back down into Mandalay on the river boat overnight.
And that was an experience. It was just an old big bargey things, and we slept on the deck, and people gave us mats to sleep on, and at one stage the boat stopped and Malcolm went down and looked, and they'd taken out the
prop shaft.
The prop shaft, and they were bashing it.
They'd hit something, so they had to straighten it out. So, yeah, and then we wandered down to Yangon, the capital, and flew out of there. That was a wonderful, fascinating experience.
We had police following us at times.
We can talk. Talk about. Talk about the train, Vic. So we caught the train.
So we catch the train
from Mandalay North.
From Mandalay North, and about half an hour into the journey, the train hit a bump, and we went up the bed and went back down again. It was like a cartoon train. And at one stage, as it went up, I sort of twisted and I went bang down. Malcolm kept saying, "We're going to die, we're going to die."
I couldn't believe a train would stay on the tracks when it was like those cartoon characters, and the wheels are sort of flying off.
And I don't think it had been maintained since the British were there.
Yeah. And we did see, you could see later on, you could see the tracks, they sort of went like that. Yeah, and then at one stage, there's some of the roads up in the north were a bit rough. And we were only sort of following our nose a bit, and then we stayed in one hotel, a lovely little bed and breakfast run by a doctor, and we saw this route going down south, which appeared to go beside the parallel to the main road, and the main road was pretty grotty because they built this huge big 4-lane highway from Yangon up to the national capital, but nothing's allowed on it except official cars and buses. So, so there's this huge highway. So everyone else just goes on this bumpy old main highway, including the dirty old diesel trucks. So we were trying to get off that. And so he said, there's a parallel route you can go down there. So we tried getting down there. There was a bridge washed out, so we caught a ferry. And on the other side of the ferry, on the river, we were met by the immigration. What is he? Immigration.
Immigration. Yeah. We nicknamed him Scott Morrison because he was turning the boats back. And he actually... and he actually turned us back. And I said, please, this road's dangerous. And he says to Malcolm, "She, actress."
Scott's the one in that sort of greeny coloured T-shirt there. Yeah. And they wanted to know why we were doing this, why we were going, where we'd been, all this sort of stuff. And the problem with a lot of the officials, you don't even know who they are because they're all in just civilian clothes. So you're getting followed by people all the time and don't know who they are. But anyway, the mayor took us on a tour of the village and...
gave us cold water and a couple of coffees and put us on the boat back across the river.
And the mayor's son followed us down the road. We're cycling, he's on a motorbike. And he kept following us until Vicky
I said, excuse me, I need to use the loo, and went off into the bushes. And that was the end of him. He disappeared.
And that's on the boat, on the ferry overnight. That was wonderful. And because I was trying to wear a longie, and everyone was trying to teach me how to tie my longie, and all these embarrassing moments when my longie would slip. And I'd been for a swim one day in a hotel in Yangon, and I'm riding back when I got my longie around me, and I just had my bathers on, and it started slipping. And this man came up running beside me on the bike, and hauling my longie up and said, "Disgusting, disgusting."
And when we were in Mandalay, we went for a swim at the swimming pool. I wore a long sleeve and whatever, and Malcolm did a couple of laps, and he was the only person in the middle of the pool. Everybody else was hanging on the edge, and
this little boy came up to me and he said, "Excuse me, sir, your freestyle is exquisite." I was the only one who could do more than and he was training. So I thought, then here's my opportunity. I could have been the Olympic coach for the Myanmar swim team, and I missed it. I missed that opportunity. So then we decided we'd had another group, another warm showers couple, stay with us from Moab in Utah, and they sent us the guide for the riding the west coast of America, and they said, "You've got to do it." So we said, "Oh well, we'd do that." So it's riding Route 101 from the north to it goes all the way down to San Diego. And so we thought, well, let's see how far we can go. So we flew into Vancouver, put the bikes together. All the time we're taking up bikes, these sort of touring bikes. And we started in Vancouver, rode up the 101 to Powell River. I've still got a fireman's t-shirt. Another connection with Launceston. One of the firemen from Powell River had done an exchange visit to Launceston and been in the fire brigade in Launceston. And so then, we went across onto Victoria Island, down Victoria Island, across, and then through the islands across into Washington, and down the coast on 101 till we got to San Francisco.
so Malcolm's saying, "Oh, we're going to cycle down to San Diego," and I said, "I'm done." I said, and he said, "But," I said, "No, I'm done." Some of the cycling was fantastic, and others it was just. You think Launceston's bad cycling? This was even.
No cars.
Yeah.
On some spots, no bikes.
Sorry?
No bike roads,
Oh yeah, there's a bike. There was some, but
It was mainly on highway. On the highway changed from sort of a single track road to 8-lane highway. So yeah, it was a bit. So I had hoped we'd at least get to Los Angeles, but we got to San Francisco, which was pretty good. So we up the Canadian coastline. We had that bit of that American experience. We went to a rodeo, saw all the jingoism of all that, diners. We were there on the 4th of July, so all the rah-rah of all that. We went to baseball games with friends, and with more warm showers people we met on the way down. Went to the Boeing factory. It's a terrific, and they've got this wonderful system where in the campsites they have a hiker-biker area set aside, and they sort of guarantee that anyone who turns up walking or bike riding will have a place in the camp. So you just all share that spot, and they've got tables and barbecues and things. So you get this sort of tribe of people who are all sort of moving around up and down in a sort of cell. So we met some wonderful people through that as well, through that group, and still friends with some of them.
Yep. We met a lovely English couple, and
we've cycled with them in England as well. Yep, a bit of supersizing there. We went to the Palm Cafe, and the usual the diner experience, the Avenue of the Giants, cycled across the Golden Gate Bridge. And went to the Saturday. So 2016 we decided we'd go back to Europe, and we were there on we were there. We were there when we lived in England. We were there when they went into the common market and the EU. And in 2016, we were there for the vote when they went out. So,
And the friends we were staying with, at the top left, they were Exeters.
Yeah, conservative country people from the west of England. Yeah, but wonderful people. Vicky saw them again last couple of weeks ago. Yeah. So, yeah.
No.
Still not regretful.
What?
They're not regretful.
No.
Not those people, no.
No.
Everyone else is.
I was really surprised. Like, everybody was so cheerful in England. It was so unusual. Like,
It was raining, wasn't it?
no, it was sunny.
Oh, right.
It was sunny.
Amazing. So, Sue, you went on this one too, yeah? And Marion came, yeah, Marion went on this. So
No, she went on the first one.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Marion
one of
came on this one. This was Bat Out of Hell too. This was a bit more of a Bat Out of Heaven. This was a bit more of a Bat Out. We went pretty hard for 3 weeks and did a whole lot of kilometres round through. Where'd we go? France, Holland, France, Germany.
Anyway, keep going.
Everywhere. Yeah, and then we wandered off down to.
Oh, too far. Oh, too far.
Where am I going?
You go.
I hate
Yeah,
these.
he's trying.
I hate
Incredibly
these.
trying.
Oh yeah, these are just some of the.
Too far.
Yeah. Yeah, just down to, we ended up down in Barcelona again. We came across, we went down the other side of France this time and came down across the base of the Pyrenees, some of the foothills of the Pyrenees, and then down into Barcelona. And then we went up to, caught trains and went into Italy and cycled around Lake Como and the lakes up there, and then flew out of Milan. So did a little bit more and some interesting 8 connections of trains to get from Barcelona to.
No, it was the Netherlands.
Oh yeah, from the Netherlands. Yeah. That was another trip, and then India. I did this with the guy who designs and builds these bikes, the Avanti bikes. Noel McFarland, he actually is located in Sheffield now and he runs his business from there. And I did it with him and another young woman. And we went from Vizag up on the coast down to Bangalore. It was over about 3 weeks we did. And we just sort of, knew where we wanted to start, we knew where we wanted to finish, and we just took a compass and said, well, we can probably do about to draw an arc about 75, 80 k's each day, and then we'd find a town and they sort of plotted our route out, and there's a river we had to get over. So we went to places a lot of tourists, never go to, and for probably good reason. But it was, this is one of the most exciting bike rides I've ever done, I think. It was just, it's just that whole chaos of India, and you just ride along beside, and this pageantry sort of appears on the side of the road as you go along. The one in the top left corner was just a serendipity of things. We saw all these crowds going into an arena area off the road, and we wandered in, and we were immediately taken up and taken into the grandstand, because this was the annual equivalent of our tractor pulling. Each village brings along their strongest oxen, and for over 200 years they've been pulling that same stone up and down this arena to see who could do it the fastest. And there's big money for each village. And so they roar them up this thing and turn them around and roar back. So we were invited down, it was locally televised. We were taken down to start the whole proceedings, but throwing coconut under the big rock, and so off they go. So, and then people were told to move for us and get us. We were brought drinks, and it was wonderful. Yeah, and that's those sort of wonderful things that happen. Everywhere we go, we had about 5 or 6 local paper articles. Everywhere we'd stop, there'd be this crowd of people. There'd be up to 100 people just standing around us, just talking. And then there'd be a man would come up with a little notebook and press, and the next day there'd be an article in the local paper in Urdi or something. That was,
And when they got to the airport and they were packing up the bikes, they'd packed the bikes up and they were going through immigration, and the man said, "What are these?" And he looked at them, he said, "Oh yes, you're the people from the newspaper."
So you've already changed that, did you? Right. So then we decided we wanted to go to Japan. We'd heard so much about Japan, but we were sort of, you get the impression that Japan's this overcrowded, dirty, busy area. But in reality, people rave about it as a cycling destination, and we agree. It's just wonderful. So Vicky has a niece who lives in Matsuyama, been there for over 20 years. And so we decided it was a good excuse to meet them, catch up with them. So we flew into Matsuyama and we cycled around the island of Shikoku for about 4 weeks, something. Yeah. And then we cycled across the Shimano Kaido, which is the island crossing, back to Onomichi there. It's a famous bicycle route, about 80-90 k's across bridges connecting those islands across there. So that was that introduced us to Japan. Yeah. Just wonderful, going around the food and people, and it's so safe and we would leave our bikes outside the supermarkets, to go inside. Leave the phone on the thing, the camera in the carrier bag, etc. So you just walk in and do your shopping, and your bike would be just standing there.
No litter in the streets either, Malcolm?
Yeah, the streets are fairly clean. The beaches are terrible because there's a bit of a myth about the cleanliness of Japan. They've got a lot of offshore aquaculture, and a lot of the fishing crap comes ashore with polystyrene, plastic. The beaches are terrible.
And one place.
There's an article in the paper just this last week actually that they're inundated by rubbish from other areas.
Yeah.
Oh,
that'd be their excuse. Yeah.
That's true though.
It's not.
Because it's got Chinese writing on green road.
We've been cycling and we've watched actually all the rubbish bags just been dumped over the seawall.
That was disappointing. But anyway.
Anyway.
And at one place where I went for a swim, people came and watched. It was I didn't get any compliments on my stroke though. So during that tour from Shikoku, we transferred our bikes up to the north of Honshu. You can do it with the Black Cat courier service. Just pack your bikes up into boxes and send them off, and then 3 days later we turned up. We got a rail pass, and we just wandered around for a week on the rail pass, and then we picked up our bikes, stayed in the hotel, caught the ferry across and cycled up to Sapporo and came home from there. And then in 2018 we did another trip up there where we started in Sapporo and cycled around the north of Honshu, went up onto the northernmost islands up there, and round the coast and across. Back to Sapporo. So another friend joined us there. Food, of course, food's the best thing in Japan. And the lovely quiet roads, traffic up and outside. Because you've got to remember the population of Japan is declining, and especially the rural population. So a lot of these little back roads, there's hardly anything on them. And of course they're so polite that they give you miles of space anyway.
Yeah. So the bottom right hand, we thought we'd go to an island, and not very good at reading how big the island was, and we sort of cycled to the campsite, which took half an hour off the ferry, and that was the island. But we spent a day down on the beach actually picking up all the rubbish.
Yeah, but the lighthouse keeper came down with bags of sweet corn for us.
Yeah.
And this here on the left, this is in the city in the middle of the Honshu. It's draft horse racing. There's only one other city in the world that does it somewhere. It goes back to the settling of Hokkaido, which was, the Japanese moved up and pushed out the local ethnic people in what about the 1890s, I think, 1880s, and they developed as a more of an broader agricultural sector. And so they were using draft horses. They had a lot of American advisors over there, so there's some American-style buildings over there. So then as all farmers do, they wanted to say, my draft horse is faster than your draft horse. So they had races. And then, as to handicap them, they pulled these sleds. And the sleds have got concrete weights on them. And then, obviously, that was too easy, so they put gravel on the track. They had sort of gravel pits they had to pull through, and up and over slopes.
And there's a lot of betting on it. A lot of betting.
Yeah. But it was fascinating. The races only last for about a minute and a half.
Yep.
And it was fascinating. Yeah. Next trip was Taiwan, so we again, through a warm showers connection, a girl from Taiwan had stayed with us. And so she said, come and visit Taiwan. So we went and stayed with her, had a couple of nights in her little public service flat on the 27th floor, and in Taipei. And then we just did a loop around Taiwan, which was the western side on the left was fairly industrial and flat and not so interesting. The part on the right.
If you think it's the size of Tasmania and how many million people live there,
well,
we should have done a bit more research.
Yeah. There's a bit about the school there I was going to talk about. If you.
Oh.
Yeah. So again, the politics. It's like the Baltic state. The politics. It was worth going to Taiwan just to get an understanding of the politics. Over on the right hand, on the eastern side, there's the ethnic groups are mainly been pushed across there when the nationalists invaded. They've only in the last 20 years been recognised. There's probably about 100 groups. Some of them only about 20 or 30 left in their clans, and they're on that eastern coast side and the more rural area. The politics. We met people who couldn't wait to be linked up with Japan. With China because of commercial reasons, etc. Yeah, and we had a night where we stayed in the gym of a school, and which had the nephew of our warm showers friend had attended. So they took us in, and we stayed the night, had a meal with the staff, and talked to the kids the next morning. They were all in their Cub Scout uniform.
Yep. South Korea?
South Korea, again, another interesting, again, the food, not so spectacular from a bike riding point of view, but again, through the middle, they've got big bike paths down through the rivers and up through the coast. But they've got some wonderful, you think the Egyptian tombs are fantastic. There's some wonderful tombs down in a city down here. Again, staying with some warm showers people who'd stayed with us, and there's the treasure that they found in these tombs. It's just been amazing.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Mongolia, Maria, who's sneaked in up the back there, she said, "Let's go to Mongolia." So we found a way to go to Mongolia through a group called Social Cycles. That had its highs and lows.
But I was talking about it yesterday. Some of it was so appalling. It's been the holiday we've talked most about.
but it was another wonderful experience. And we connected that up with our Taiwan trip. Yeah. So the Mongolia thing was through a group called Social Cycles, and we have our first experience there wasn't as good as we'd hoped. So we wrote them a big strategic review of what had gone wrong, because we liked the concept so much. And Brett Seychelles, who's the founder of Social Cycles, just a small operation, he had been cycling back from England and gone to NGOs on his way, and he'd collected money and got his friends in England to send money to these NGOs on his way back to Australia. So he thought, oh, there's a business in this, and so he set up this Social Cycles company. And the idea is that you go for a bike ride and you call in at NGOs right through the country, and you put in a pool of money at the beginning, and at the end you divide it up amongst those NGOs that you've been to. So, and they also get paid for the time that you're spending.
And you don't visit any orphanages?
No. No. There's schools, water treatment plants, all sorts of social training camps, that sort of thing. Small investment companies, micro loan places. So, so we've done that with them he said, he was so appreciative of our review that he gave us a week of one of his tours. So from Cambodia to Vietnam, we did that, and that was Mari came on with that, and I've just done another one from Vientiane to Sapa up in Vietnam with him as well. So that was it's a wonderful, if you ever want a good adventure on a bicycle and feel like you're getting to know the country much better, Social Cycles is a great way to go. Just a little bit about the way we get our bikes around, all sorts of ways. Boxes, wrapping them up. This is the one in the blue one was from India. We just went to the bazaar and got foam and got bath mats and coir rope and tape and wrapped our bikes up like big packages. Some airlines won't take the bikes unless they're on boxes. There's a few restrictions on those sort of things. But what we do is we put them in the box. Some places we managed to put them together in airports and cycled away from the airport. Did that in Heathrow. Did that in Fukuoka. Other places.
But one wonderful time we flew into Manchester, and they said, "We're very sorry, we've left. Your bikes haven't got on the plane." It was really hot. I said, "So you'll deliver them to our accommodation tomorrow?" And the guy said, "Yes." I said, "Thank you so much. Thank you." We didn't have to put the bikes together and cycle out of it.
There is a little bit of pressure, putting them together like that.
Yeah.
So that's what it's been. So about 28 countries, plus we've done bike tours in Tasmania. Sue and I have done some wonderful trips around, and Mari, we've been up the northeast, it's all around Tasmania on overnight and 4 or 5 day trips.
28 punches.
Yeah, in those bikes, yeah. There's one beauty there in America. You can see a great big roofing now gone straight through the tyre. That was, we've sort of transferred our bikes. We're now sort of riding this sort of touring bike. This is a Vivanti. And now we've graduated to e-bikes, but because e-bikes are much harder to get internationally and putting them on trains and planes. It's the sort of reflections we've had on that. We don't realise how lucky we are. When you go to some of these countries, even in Europe, and particularly in Asia and things, we've got to remember that, how we are privileged. And I always like Tim Costello's little quote, "The lottery of latitude." I've got this, my concept of birth and creation is that circling the globe, there is a big baby factory, and every time and it's got a big connection, a big chute that drops babies into the world, and every time a baby's conceived, the bell rings in this baby factory, and they drop a baby down the chute, and it ends wherever that that conception's taken place. So it's that lottery of just where you are and when you come down that chute that sort of depends where you're born and just gives you that luck. So life's here to be thrilled by and not to be weighed down by. So that's what husbands are here to be to do. Roads are public spaces. Everyone has the right to be and use that space. That's my sort of local mantra as well. Behaviour of people on the road reflects a lot of the society. I think Italy, they're going to be excited. Japan, because they're much more sedate and much more polite. The drivers are much more polite to each other and to cycle and to each other. Whereas I think here, where we've got an aggressive confrontational society,
yes.
and we see
We've had a few cyclists in the last few years who've come from New Zealand, and they've said how pleasant it is to cycle in Tasmania after New Zealand. So that's always surprised me.
Yeah. And we've always found with our travels, as long after you've forgotten about the scenery and the pictures and all that sort of stuff, it's the people you remember, and the people all around the world that we've connected with and still connecting with just through riding a bike. We noticed in America where when we'd stop on the bike down the coast, people would come up to you and, how you going, where you going, and come to lunch, they'd take us for lunch, do everything. And then when we hired a car and went cycling out to Moab, we were just no part of the tourist thing.
So
we weren't there.
he was a beauty. I was cycling up in America, cycling up something called the Seven
Sisters?
Seven Hills or whatever, and I heard vroom, vroom, vroom behind me, and I thought, oh yeah, and he yells out, get off the fucking road. And I'd thought the night before, I'm not going to be passive anymore, and so I told him to, whatever. And then he says, well, if you hear a car stop. So Malcolm actually hears all this noise and takes a photo of him.
He wasn't saying welcome to Oregon.
And this woman here was absolutely delightful. In Japan, I thought it was a shop, and she had a wholesale business. And she said, come in, and she gave us water, and she chopped a watermelon for us, and she gave us some other things. And the next day I looked in the shop, and the watermelons were worth about $80. Just so generous. And
the guy in the top left corner, it had a cafe in Myanmar. We're cycling, stopped for a meal. He wouldn't take any money. No, he would not take it.
And I think he was Muslim.
Yeah, Muslim guy. Yeah.
And the couple down below, we were cycling along in Germany, and I knew it was 14 kilometres to the next campground. And I stopped and I said, excuse me, camping anywhere? And they said, no. And then they talked amongst themselves and they said, come. And they owned a nursery business, a plant nursery business. And they said, we've got a bit of green grass here, you can put your tent there, and we've got workers from Poland, you can use all the facilities. It was fantastic.
Oh, and their daughter...
And 2 years later, their daughter comes and stays with us.
Borrows a car and puts a ding in it.
Yeah. That was... If anybody's seen our car, it doesn't really matter.
No. Yeah, and I think one of the things that we get out of, when you're just travelling with a bike like this and everything you own or everything you need or is on the bike, it just makes you appreciate, that you don't need as much crap as you've got at home. And, when you've just got a kitchen like that and a little tent and things, yeah. And there's just a little bit about the warm showers, these network of people that we still keep in touch with, and we've had up to 30 people come and stay with us in a season. Yeah, anyway, so that's the end of it. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve. Well, I don't know.
Got a few minutes.
Yeah.
Questions, if anyone's got some burning questions they'd like to ask Malcolm or Vicky.
You haven't spoken anything about what you do locally.
Oh, right. Well, about 14 years ago, we started the bicycle advocacy group Qvmag, Tamar Bicycle Users Group. Lots of people here have been members and been active members and committee members and kept us going. Malcolm over there was president after I had a crack. And we've been advocating for cycling, and I think we have changed the culture a little bit. We haven't got as much done as we'd like. We've found the council has been all talk and no action. We got some bike lanes on, and they've done and not much since then. And then we've been pushing for the North East Rail Trail extension. So those sort of things that we've been working for bike, getting more people on bikes more often for commuting and recreational use, for the health and for the health benefits, the congestion benefits and the pollution benefits. So we think they're a good way what we should be doing in this city, but we're still very car-dominated society, unfortunately.
I think it's true to say though, Malcolm, that at least on a weekend around some of the recreational trails, there are more people riding bikes in Launceston than there were, say 20, 15 years ago when I came back.
Yeah.
And I think it's true, although there are a hardcore of what we might call dickheads around, the attitude of drivers has generally gotten better.
Yeah.
I think, like we were part of the campaign to get the wider passing, the metre passing and all that sort of stuff. I think that's made a slight difference as well. So it's not all complete doom and gloom.
No, that's right. I'm sorry, I'm just being a grumpy old man. But the thing that is revolutionising is e-bikes, and that's making. I can now, and Vic, we're off to South Australia in a couple of weeks doing a bike tour around the Riverland with Bicycle South Australia, and the median age of that group's about 65, and the number of e-bikes in that group is increasing, not as fast as I thought, but e-bikes are certainly making local and touring bike riding far more accessible. It's horrific. And the stupid Victorian government trying to ban them and New South Wales ban them on trains. Ridiculous. No. Sorry, does that answer the question?
I've seen your name out and about, you didn't talk anything about.
Yeah.
Maybe that's part two. You'll have to give up.
That's another talk.
Go back to you.
Malcolm, I believe you got the bike cages organised in the car parks with Jeremy Moore.
Oh, that was when about 15 years ago.
Did you know they've been closed
since March
20th for cleaning and maintenance?
I know.
And I've written 3 letters to them. They can't tell me when they're going to reopen.
No.
And they're such a useful thing.
Yeah.
I use them regularly. Do you know anything about?
No, I've sent 3 SnapSend solves taken. I think I'll have to put a question on notice of the council. Yeah. It was interesting when the new bike hub was built in St John Street, the renovation. I said to them, where's the bike parking so I can leave my bike there overnight and go down to Hobart and come back? Oh no, we haven't put that in. You can use the ones the nearest one's 10 minutes walk away in Patterson Street West. And I pointed out to them that they'd been closed since March. Yeah. But they told me specialists had told them that it was 10 minutes away, so it must have been good specialists.
And it's still on their website that they have bike cages.
I'll put a question on notice to the council.
Yeah. You're right about council. Some people are very good at that.
Yes.
Okay.
Lisa.
I just want to ask about the e-bike visit, about moving them around on planes and stuff that you can't, not allowed to. So does that mean if you want to go biking in another country, you just find somewhere where you have to meet them?
Yeah, you have to, it's hiring, I don't know where we're going to go with the batteries. It's obviously the batteries, when we get people who are smarter than me will know more about the safer batteries that are coming up, but it's annoying when they sort of, we are getting better standards in place for battery. It's the battery charging and battery management systems that seem to be the problem, and some of the cheaper battery, like, you know, we've seen all sorts of batteries, lithium-ion batteries, catch fire everywhere. So it's not just bikes. No. Yeah, but it is, and an e-bike is, even without the batteries, heavy to get on a plane anyway. So, yeah, I mean, you'd have to pay extra probably to.
Great, no worries.
Thanks. Thanks very much. Thanks for joining. Thank you to my lovely assistant.
We should definitely have done double doing.
If anyone wants a list of what they should take on their bike for a bike tour, I've got a bike packing list.